Jin wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stared at the floating ship through his viewport. The alien vessel hung in the darkness of space like a dead animal. Its metal skin was torn in many places. Small lights blinked weakly across its surface. "Duri, scan the ship again," Jin said to his AI assistant. The small drone floated beside him, its blue eye glowing as it worked. "Scan complete, Jin. Power levels at 12%. Life support systems failing. No life signs detected on initial scan." Jin nodded and guided his small salvage ship closer. The Galactic Salvage Corp had sent him to check if anything valuable remained on the derelict. It was just another job, and Jin needed the money. "Begin docking procedures," Jin ordered. He put on his spacesuit and checked his tools. The suit was old but reliable, just like everything else Jin owned. Duri's mechanical voice came through his helmet. "Warning. Ship design matches Krell engineering patterns. Krell vessels are known to have hidden defense systems." "Noted," Jin said. He had heard stories about the Krell. They were a secretive species that looked like dragons from old Earth stories. They rarely met with other species and were known for their advanced biotech. The airlock hissed as Jin entered the alien ship. His helmet light cut through the darkness. The air was thin but breathable according to his suit readings. Jin switched to the ship's gravity system and felt his boots connect with the floor. "Duri, map the ship and mark any salvageable tech," Jin said. The drone flew ahead, scanning each corridor and room. Jin followed, noting the damage. This wasn't normal wear and tear. Something violent had happened here. This ship was attacked, Jin said to himself. Bird marks scored the walls. Equipment was scattered across the floor. In some places, the walls were torn open as if something had exploded. Jin picked up a piece of equipment. Krell tech could fetch a good price, even if damaged. He placed it in his collection bag and moved deeper into the ship. After 2 hours of exploring, Jin had filled 3 bags with salvage. The ship was bigger than it looked from outside. Most rooms were empty or contained destroyed equipment, but Jin was satisfied with what he had found. "Duri, let's check the engine room and then head back," Jin said. The drone hovered near a sealed door. Engine room access blocked. Door emergency sealed. Jin examined the door. The control panel was still functioning, which was unusual for an abandoned ship. "Can you bypass it?" "Negative. Manual override required." Jin sighed and pulled out his cutting tools. "Stand back." The laser cutter sliced through the metal lock. It took 10 minutes before Jin could push the door open. The smell hit him first. It was strange. Not the smell of death, but something else. Sweet and metallic. Jin shined his light into the darkness. "Duri, give me more light," he said. The drone's lights brightened, illuminating the large engine room. Jin froze. In the center of the room, pinned under a collapsed beam, was a massive creature. It was a Krell. Its body was long and serpentine with scale-like plates covering its skin. 4 limbs ended in clawed hands. Its head was dragon-like with ridges along the skull. The creature's eyes were closed, and it didn't move. "Life signs detected," Duri announced. "Subject is alive, but in stasis. Severe damage to central nervous system. Paralysis indicated." Jin approached carefully. The Krell was at least twice his size. Its breathing was so slow he could barely see its chest move. "How long has it been here?" Jin asked. "Based on power consumption logs, approximately 103 days, Duri replied. Jin crouched beside the alien's head. "Over 3 months trapped here alone," he whispered. He had seen many things in his years as a salvage mechanic, but nothing like this. Suddenly, the Krell's eyes opened. They were deep amber with vertical pupils that widened in the dim light. Jin fell backward in surprise. The creature's mouth moved but made no sound, its eyes fixed on Jin with clear intelligence. "Duri, can you translate?" Jin asked, his heart racing. The drone hovered near the Krell's head, attempting translation. Accessing ship's database. After a moment, a mechanical voice came from Duri's speakers. Help. Trapped. Cannot move. Jin looked at the metal beam pinning the creature. I'm Jin, from Galactic Salvage Corp. Can you understand me? The Krell blinked slowly. Yes. Translator working. I am. Nara. Ship's engineer. What happened here? Nara. Jin asked, moving closer. Pirates attacked. Wanted research. Killed crew. Ship damaged in fight. Ceiling collapsed. Cannot move since. Jin examined the beam. It wasn't crushing Nara. It had struck her back and was now lying across her lower body. The real damage had already been done. Duri. Medical scan. Jin ordered. The drone circled Nara. Spinal equivalent severely damaged. Subject paralyzed from midsection down. Internal systems functioning at minimal levels. Stasis mode activated to prevent death. Jin sat back on his heels. Protocol was clear. He should report this to headquarters. They would send a proper medical team. But Jin knew how the company worked. Krell were complicated. The medical costs would be deemed too high. They would euthanize Nara as unsalvageable cargo. Can you help? Nara asked, her translator making the words sound flat. Jin thought about his options. He was supposed to finish this job in 3 days. But the ship had power. It had resources. And Jin knew more about fixing things than most people. Duri, contact Thai at headquarters, Jin said. The drone blinked, connected. Jin. Report status, came Ta's voice. Jin looked at Nara's eyes. There was fear there, and hope. Ta, I found something big. The salvage is extensive. Ship's systems are complex but valuable. I'll need more time, maybe a month or more. A pause. A month? That's irregular, Jin. Trust me, it's worth it. The tech here is advanced. I need time to catalog and extract it properly. Another pause. Fine. But I want weekly reports. If this doesn't pay off, it's on your record. Understood. Jin out. He nodded at Duri to end the call. Nara's eyes remained fixed on him. Why lie? Jin moved closer and started examining the beam. Because if I told them about you, they might decide you're not worth saving. You will help me? Nara asked. Jin nodded as he began setting up a temporary shelter near Nara. I'm going to try. I'm a mechanic, not a doctor. But maybe that's what you need right now. He pulled medical supplies from his emergency kit. First, we make you comfortable. Then we figure out how to fix you. Nara's eyes closed briefly. Thank you. As Jin worked to secure the area and set up his equipment, he wondered what he had gotten himself into. Helping an alien dragon was not part of his job description. But something about leaving Nara to die felt wrong. Jin had always been good at fixing broken things. Duri, download all information about Krell physiology from the ship's database, Jin said. Processing. Warning, this exceeds mission parameters. Jin looked at Nara, who had fallen back into her slow-breathing stasis. I know, but sometimes the right thing isn't in the manual. Outside the ship, stars continued their silent watch as Jin began what would become the most challenging repair job of his life. 1 week had passed since Jin found Nara. He had moved his small ship Persistence alongside the damaged Krell vessel and created a safe passage between them. Jin now split his time between collecting salvage to send back to his company and helping Nara. Jin entered the engine room, which he had turned into a living space. He had cleared away the debris and set up lights. A small heater kept the room warm. The large metal beam still lay where it had fallen, but Jin had built supports around it so it wouldn't shift and hurt Nara more. Good morning, Jin said, setting down his tool bag. How are you feeling today? Nara's amber eyes opened. The translator Jin had fixed worked better now. Pain is less. Your medicine helps. Jin nodded and checked the medical devices he had connected to Nara. The readings were better than yesterday. That's good. I brought food. He had discovered that Krell could eat some human foods. Nara preferred meat and sweet fruits. Jin carefully fed her small pieces of synthesized protein and some apple slices. You were a medic before? Nara asked. Jin paused. Yes, in the Earth Defense Force. 5 years. Then I became a mechanic. Machines are easier to fix than people. Yet you try to fix me, Nara said. Her voice through the translator sounded less flat now. Jin had adjusted it to show more emotion. You're different, Jin said. He didn't explain further. Jin's comm unit beeped. He answered it. This is Jin. Jin, it's Ta. Weekly report time. How's the salvage going? Jin looked at Nara. Good. I sent back 3 containers already. There's valuable tech here. That's not enough for a month-long job, Ta said. The company wants results. Jin frowned. I need more time. Trust me, this will be worth it. You have 2 more weeks, then we send someone to check your progress. The call ended. Jin sighed. Your job is at risk because of me, Nara said. Jin shrugged. I'll figure something out. He picked up a scanner. Today we're going to try something new. I want to map your nervous system. Jin had been studying Krell physiology from the ship's database. Krell had a complex nervous system with 2 main neural pathways instead of 1 like humans. Nara's primary pathway was severely damaged, but the secondary one was mostly intact. This won't hurt, Jin said as he moved the scanner over Nara's long body. Dury hovered nearby, recording the data. Were you always alone? Nara asked while Jin worked. I have Dury, Jin said, nodding toward the drone. That is not the same. Jin was quiet for a moment. No, it's not. I had a family once. Wife. Son. They died in a colony attack 15 years ago. I am sorry, Nara said. It was a long time ago. Jin focused on the scanner. Tell me about your family. Nara's eyes looked up at the ceiling. Krell live in family groups. Mine has 22 members. I have not seen them in 4 years. I joined this research ship to study new medical applications of our biotech. Jin stopped scanning. Medical applications, not weapons. We are known for bioweapons, Nara said. But my work was to heal, not harm. The pirates who attacked us wanted my research to make weapons. Jin nodded. This explained why the pirates had attacked the ship. Your research might help you now. Can you tell me more about Krell healing methods? For the next few hours, Nara explained Krell biotech to Jin. Most of it was too complex for him to understand fully, but some ideas sparked his interest. Later that day, Jin contacted an old friend who wouldn't ask too many questions. Ju, it's Jin. I need medical advice. The woman on the screen looked tired. Jin? It's been years. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm working on a special project. What do you know about spinal regeneration? Ju raised an eyebrow. That's a very specific question. Why do you ask? Just curious. I found some interesting tech on a salvage job. Ju didn't look convinced, but answered anyway. Spinal regeneration is difficult. The best results come from a combination of stem cell therapy and neural stimulation. But full recovery is rare. Jin thanked her and ended the call. He went back to the engine room with new ideas. Nara, I think I have a plan, Jin said. I can't fix your spine completely, but I might be able to build something to help you move again. Nara's eyes widened. How? Jin pulled out a datapad and showed her his rough designs. An exoskeleton, part mechanical, part biotech. It would connect to your secondary nervous system and bypass the damaged areas. This would take months, Nara said. Yes, and parts I don't have yet, but I think it could work. A loud bang interrupted them. The ship shook slightly. Dury, what was that? Jin asked. The drone's eye flashed. Another ship is docked. Scanning. It belongs to Han, salvage operator. Jin cursed. Han was a former colleague who now worked for a rival company. He must have picked up the ship's energy signature. "Stay quiet," Jin told Nara. "I'll handle this." Jin hurried to the airlock. Han was already inside with 2 drones when Jin reached him. "Jin, what a surprise," Han said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I didn't know GSC had claimed this wreck." "Filed the claim 2 weeks ago," Jin said, blocking Han's path. "What brings you here?" Han looked around. "Energy readings. This ship is more active than a derelict should be." "Found something good." Jin shrugged. "Some working systems. Nothing special. I'm almost done here." Han tried to look past Jin toward the corridor leading to the engine room. "Mind if I take a look around?" "For old time's sake." "Company rules. Solo salvage rights." "You know how it works," Jin said firmly. Han stared at Jin for a long moment. "Fine. But if you're hiding something valuable, I'll find out." He backed toward his ship. "See you around, Jin." After Han left, Jin returned to Nara. "We have a problem. Han is suspicious. He might report unusual activity to GSC or come back with more people." "What will we do?" Nara asked. Jin looked at his designs for the exoskeleton. "We need to work faster, and I need to get those parts." Over the next few days, Jin worked tirelessly. He converted more of the ship's rooms into workspaces. He used parts from his own ship to start building the exoskeleton. When he needed to sleep, he did so next to Nara, waking often to check on her. Jin sent regular updates to Tai, with just enough salvage to keep the company satisfied. He used his military contacts to order specialized parts without raising suspicion. One night, as Jin worked on a neural interface, Nara watched him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "You could leave. Take the salvage. Get your payment." Jin didn't look up from his work. "When I found you, you were alone. Hurt. Left behind." He paused. "I know how that feels. But this could cost you everything." Jin finally looked at her. "Some things are worth the risk." As weeks passed, Jin and Nara developed a routine. During the day, Jin worked on the exoskeleton. In the evenings, Nara taught Jin about Krell culture and technology. At night, Jin would tell stories about Earth and his travels. Slowly, the exoskeleton took shape. It was beautiful in its way, a framework of metal and biotech that would support Nara's body and connect to her nervous system. "Tomorrow, I test the neural interface," Jin told Nara one evening. "If it works, you might be able to feel your limbs again." Nara's eyes showed an emotion Jin had not seen before. "Thank you, Jin," she said. "Whether this works or not, no one has ever done for me what you have done." Jin smiled and put his hand gently on Nara's head. "Get some rest. Tomorrow is a big day." As Nara fell asleep, Jin looked at his creation. The exoskeleton was a combination of human engineering and Krell biotech. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start, a way to help Nara move again. Jin checked the ship's systems one last time before lying down to sleep. Outside, the stars moved slowly past the viewport. The damaged ship that had once been just another salvage job was now something else. It was becoming a home. "Ready?" Jin asked as he connected the final wire to the neural interface. 2 months had passed since he found Nara. The exoskeleton now covered her lower body like a metal shell. Nara's amber eyes focused on Jin. "Yes, I am ready." Jin took a deep breath and pressed the activation button. The exoskeleton hummed to life. Lights along its frame turned from red to green. Jin watched Nara's face closely. At first, nothing happened. Then Nara's eyes widened. I feel something. A tingling where I felt nothing before." Jin checked the readings on his tablet. "The signals are flowing through the secondary neural pathway. Not strong yet, but it's working." Nara tried to move her tail. It twitched slightly. The small movement was tiny, but to Nara it was everything. Her eyes filled with tears. a reaction Jin didn't know Krell could have. "It moved," she whispered. "After all this time." Jin smiled. "This is just the beginning. The interface needs time to learn your neural patterns. Each day should get better." He helped Nera through some simple exercises. The exoskeleton responded sluggishly, but it did respond. For the first time since the accident, Nera could control her lower body, even if the movements were small. Later that evening, as Nera rested, Jin's comm unit beeped. It was Ta. "Jin, time's up. Where's my full report? The company is sending an inspection team next week." Jin's heart sank. "I need more time, Ta. The salvage is complex. 3 months for one ship is unheard of. Either you found something incredibly valuable, or you're hiding something. Which is it?" Jin looked over at Nera. "Just trust me a little longer." Tae's voice hardened. "1 week, Jin. Then the inspection team arrives." After the call ended, Jin paced the room. "We're running out of time," he told Nera. "The exoskeleton works, but you can barely move, and we can't hide you forever." "Perhaps we should contact my people," Nera suggested. "A Krell ambassador could help." Jin considered this. "It's risky. We don't know how they'll react." "But you're right. We need help." The next day, Jin sent a coded message to Suk, the Krell ambassador to the Galactic Alliance. He kept the message vague, but mentioned Nera's name and the ship's ID. While waiting for a response, Jin worked to improve the exoskeleton. He needed materials that were hard to find. His supplies were running low. "I need to make a supply run," Jin told Nera. "Duri will stay with you. I'll be back in 2 days." Nera looked worried. "Be careful. Han might be watching." Jin nodded. He had the same concern. Before leaving, he set up extra security systems around the ship. Jin piloted his small ship to a nearby space station. There, he contacted his old commanding officer, Dai. They met in a quiet corner of the station's market. Dai was older now, with gray hair, but his eyes were sharp as ever. "Jin, you look like hell." "Good to see you too," Jin said with a tired smile. "I need your help." "You always do. What's the trouble this time?" Jin explained that he needed specialized neural transmitters and biotech components, items that were restricted. He didn't mention Nera, but Dai was smart. "This isn't for a normal salvage job," Dai said, studying Jin's face. "You're helping someone." Jin didn't deny it. "Can you get the parts, or not?" Dai nodded slowly. "I owe you from that time on Mars. But be careful, Jin. Breaking salvage protocols can land you in prison." 2 days later, Jin returned to Nera's ship with the supplies. As he docked, he felt something was wrong. The ship was too quiet. "Duri," Jin called as he entered. No response. Jin ran to the engine room. Nara was there, the exoskeleton still in place. Duri lay on the floor, damaged. "Jin." Nara's voice was full of relief. Someone was here. They disabled Duri and searched the ship. I pretended to be unconscious. Jin quickly checked Duri. The drone wasn't badly damaged, just shut down. He reactivated it. "Scanning systems," Duri announced as it powered up. "Unauthorized entry detected 18 hours ago. 2 individuals. They placed tracking devices in 3 locations." Jin cursed and began searching for the devices. He found them and destroyed them. It was Han. "He must have followed me from the station." "What will he do?" Nara asked. "He'll be back with more people. We need to finish the exoskeleton now." For the next 3 days, Jin worked without sleep. With the new parts from Dai, the exoskeleton improved rapidly. Nara could now move her tail and back legs with growing control. On the 4th day, a message arrived from Suk, the Krell ambassador. It was brief. "Coordinates received. Krell vessel dispatched. Arriving in 2 days. Explanation required." Jin showed the message to Nara. "Help is coming. But we still have a problem. The company inspection team will arrive first." As Jin and Nara discussed their options, alarm systems blared. "Ship approaching," Dury announced. "Not Galactic Salvage Corp weapons detected." Jin rushed to the viewport. The ship outside was not Han's small salvage vessel. It was larger, heavily armed, and painted black. "Pirates. They found us," Nara said, fear in her voice. "They want my research." Jin activated the ship's defensive systems. They were limited but better than nothing. "Can you move in the exoskeleton? We might need to change locations." Nara struggled to her feet. The exoskeleton whirred and clicked as it supported her weight. She stood unsteadily, using her front limbs for balance. "I can move." Slowly. Jin grabbed his tools and a plasma cutter. "We'll go to the bridge. It has better security doors." They moved slowly through the ship's corridors. Nara's exoskeleton made soft mechanical noises with each step. Jin kept checking behind them. They reached the bridge just as the pirates began cutting through the outer airlock. Jin sealed the doors and activated all security protocols. "We need a weapon," Jin said, looking around. "Something to defend ourselves if they get through." Nara moved to a wall panel and pressed her clawed hand against it. A hidden compartment opened, revealing a small container. "My research," she explained. "It contains experimental nanites designed to repair organic tissue." Jin looked at the container. "Can they be weaponized?" Nara hesitated. "They are programmed to heal, not harm. But in high concentrations, they could overwhelm organic systems." Jin thought quickly. "Can you modify them to target specific biological markers? Like the pirates, but not us?" Nara's eyes widened. "Yes. With your neural interface technology and my biotech, we could create a defensive system." They worked quickly, combining Jin's mechanical expertise with Nara's biotech knowledge. Jin modified parts of the exoskeleton to create a delivery system. Nara programmed the nanites using the ship's computers. Outside the bridge, they heard the pirates moving through the ship. They were getting closer. "Almost ready," Jin said, connecting the last components. "This will release the nanites as a mist. They'll enter through the skin or lungs." "They won't kill," Nara added, "but they will disable, causing temporary paralysis like my own." Jin looked at Nara. Fitting justice. The bridge door began to glow red as the pirates started cutting through. Jin positioned himself and Nara behind cover. "When they come through, activate the system," Jin told Nara. "And remember, help is coming. We just need to survive until then." The door fell open with a crash. 3 armed figures rushed in. Jin nodded to Nara. She pressed a button on her exoskeleton. A fine mist sprayed from vents that Jin had installed around the bridge. The pirates stopped, confused. Then one by one, they dropped to the floor, unable to move. Jin approached them cautiously. "Who sent you?" One pirate, his body rigid but his mouth still able to move, glared at Jin. "Mun will get what he wants. The Krell biotech is too valuable. Others will come." Jin looked at Nara. "We did it. But this isn't over." Nara stood tall in her exoskeleton, looking down at the paralyzed pirates. "No. But for the first time, I believe we can win." Outside the viewport, stars continued their eternal watch as the damaged ship drifted in space. Inside, a human and an alien dragon had created something new, a technology born from both their worlds. And in 2 days, the Krell would arrive, changing everything once again. Jin tied up the paralyzed pirates and locked them in a storage room. The nanite effects would wear off in a few hours, but by then help would arrive. Or so he hoped. Back on the bridge, Jin watched as Nara practiced walking with the exoskeleton. Her movements were stronger now, more confident. The metal frame hummed softly as she moved. "The neural connections are getting better," Jin said, checking the readings on his tablet. "Your brain is adapting to the new pathways." Nara nodded. "It feels less like a machine now. More like a part of me." Jin smiled, but his eyes were worried. "We have 2 problems. The Krell ship will arrive tomorrow, but the GSC inspection team could arrive today. And Mun's pirates will send another team when these don't report back. What will your company do when they find me? Nara asked. Jin sighed. Best case, they claim you as salvage and sell you to the highest bidder. Worst case, they destroy you to avoid complications. And what will my people do when they find you helping me without permission? Jin hadn't thought about that. I don't know. I'm not exactly following proper first contact protocols. They were interrupted by Duri's alarm. Ship approaching. Galactic salvage court markings. Jin's heart sank. They're early. He watched on the screen as a company ship docked alongside his own. 3 figures in GSC uniforms entered through the airlock. Stay here, Jin told Nara. I'll try to handle this. Jin met the inspection team in the main corridor. Todd was leading them, looking angry. 3 months, Jin. 3 months on one salvage job, Ta said. This better be good. Jin blocked their path. I can explain. But you need to listen first. We're done listening, said one of the other inspectors. Either show us what you found, or we'll report you for violating company policy. Jin saw no choice. Follow me. He led them to the bridge. When the doors opened, Nara stood there in her full height, the exoskeleton gleaming under the lights. The inspectors froze. What the hell is that? Ta whispered. This is Nara, Jin said, chief engineer of this vessel. I found her paralyzed and built an exoskeleton to help her move. The inspectors stared at Nara. She stared back, her amber eyes unblinking. Do you know what you've done? Ta asked Jin. This is a first contact situation. There are laws, protocols. She would have died if I had followed protocols, Jin said firmly. One of the inspectors raised a scanner toward Nara. The tech in that exoskeleton is worth a fortune. The company could patent this. Jin stepped between them and Nara. She's not salvage. She's a person. Ta looked at Jin with a mix of anger and admiration. You always were trouble, Jin. She turned to the other inspectors. We need to report this to headquarters. Before they could leave, alarms sounded again. Multiple ships approaching, Duri announced. Weapons armed. On the view screen, 3 black ships appeared. Pirates. Friends of yours? Tai asked. Pirates. They want Nara's research, Jin explained quickly. We need to work together, or we all die. The ships outside opened fire. The old Krell vessel shook with each hit. Hull breach in Section 4, Duri reported. Shields failing. Jin looked at Ta. Help us, please. Ta hesitated, then nodded. What do you need? Jin pointed to the weapons console. Get those defensive systems online. You too, he said to the other inspectors. Seal the bulkheads and prepare the emergency pods. Nara moved to the ship's main computer. With her clawed hands and the added strength of the exoskeleton, she began typing quickly. I can reroute power to strengthen the shields. They worked together as the pirate ships continued their attack. The old ship groaned under the assault. They're preparing to board, Ta said, looking at the scanner. At least 12 pirates. Jin turned to Nara. Can you make more of those nanites? Nara nodded, but not enough for 12 pirates. We'll have to fight, Jin said. He pulled out his plasma cutter and set it to combat mode. The pirates breached the airlock and moved through the ship. Jin, Nara, and the GSC team prepared for battle on the bridge. The door burst open. Pirates rushed in, weapons firing. Jin ducked behind a console as plasma bolts flew past. Tai and her team returned fire. Nara used her exoskeleton's strength to throw a heavy piece of equipment, knocking down 2 pirates. In the chaos, Jin saw a tall figure enter the bridge. Unlike the others, this pirate wore no mask. His face was scared, his eyes cold. Mun, Nara hissed. The pirate leader smiled. The Krell and her pet human. Surrender the research, and we might let you live. Never, Nara growled. Mun raised his weapon and fired at Nera. Jin jumped in front of her. The blast hit the control panel near Jin, causing it to explode. Jin was thrown back against Nera, both of them crashing to the floor. Something strange happened then. Where Jin's blood touched Nera's exoskeleton, the metal began to change. It shifted, flowing like liquid. The nanites in the system activated, responding to the organic material. "What's happening?" Jin gasped, watching as the exoskeleton began to meld with Nera's scales. Nera's eyes widened. "The nanites. They're integrating the technology with my body." The process spread rapidly. The metal frame disappeared beneath Nera's scales, becoming part of her. She stood, her movements suddenly fluid and natural. Mun and his pirates stared in shock. Nara moved with incredible speed, her body now a perfect blend of organic and mechanical. She knocked down 3 pirates with one sweep of her tail. Jin got to his feet and joined the fight. Ta and her team pressed forward. The pirates began to retreat. Mun fired wildly at Nera, but she dodged each shot with newfound agility. She cornered him against the wall. "Your hunt ends here," she said. Outside the viewport, a new ship appeared, larger than the others, with elegant lines and glowing blue engines. A Krell vessel. The pirates saw it too. "Retreat," Mun shouted. They fled back to their ships, leaving Mun behind. As the Krell ship docked, Jin looked at Nera in amazement. The exoskeleton was now invisible, fully integrated with her body. Only faint lines of metal could be seen beneath her scales, pulsing with energy. "How do you feel?" Jin asked. Nera moved her body, testing her limbs. "Complete. The nanites have bonded the technology to my nervous system. I can feel everything." The bridge doors opened. 3 Krell entered, taller and more imposing than Nera. One of them wore formal robes, Ambassador Suk. Suk looked at Nera, then at Jin. "Explain." Over the next hour, Jin and Nera told their story. The GSC team added their part. Mun, now captive, was taken to the Krell ship. When they finished, Suk studied the scanner readings of Nera's transformed body. "This is unprecedented," Suk said. "A true melding of our biotech with human mechanical engineering. It could change everything." Ta stepped forward. "Galactic Salvage Corps will want compensation for Jin's time and resources." Jin looked at her in surprise. Ta winked. "And what do you want, human mechanic?" Suk asked Jin. Jin looked at Nera. "I just wanted to help. That's all I ever wanted." Suk nodded slowly. "Your actions violated many protocols, but they also created something remarkable." The ambassador turned to Nera. "You are the first of your kind now. Neither fully Krell nor machine, but something new." Nera moved to stand beside Jin. "We are both something new, together." 3 months later, Jin stood in a large laboratory on the Krell homeworld. Nara worked beside him, her movements graceful and sure. The integration of the exoskeleton with her body had become the foundation of a new field of research. Jin had been pardoned for the protocol violations. More than that, he had been honored by both humans and Krell. The Galactic Science Division had created a new department for him and Nera to lead together. "The neural connectors need adjustment," Nera said, looking at their latest project, a healing system for spinal injuries. Jin made the change. "Like this?" Nera nodded. "Perfect." Jin smiled. What had begun as a simple salvage job had become something no one could have imagined. A human mechanic and an alien dragon, changing the galaxy together. "No regrets?" Nora asked, sensing his thoughts. Jin shook his head. "None at all." Outside the lab window, 2 suns set over the Krell city. Inside, the work continued, building a future neither of them could have reached alone.